My name's Elise. I'm a TTRPG game designer, and I'm going to tell you all how you can publish your own TTRPG in community publishing.
Oh, you might hold it a little closer to your mouth.
Okay, I'm so quiet. I feel weird on the microphone. Okay, great. So to tell you a little bit about my background, I have written products for DM's Guild, Pathfinder Infinite, and Drive-Thru RPG. I've freelanced for Wizards of the Coast. I've been a project lead of a few projects that they mentioned, and I'm a founding member of Chuck Palahniuk's Plot Spoiler. Right, and I'll ask all of y'all, how many of you guys played a TTRPG? It could be Kids on Bikes, D&D, Pathfinder, Eberron. Yeah, awesome. For those of you who don't know what a TTRPG is, it's okay. I'm going to tell you what it is, and you should totally try them out. TTRPG is a tabletop role-playing game. Most of the time, they're run by a GM, a game master, but sometimes there's a few of them that are GM-less. But pretty much the game master is going to set the stage for what's happening in the story. The players will play different characters, and they'll do actions in the story to build a narrative. So kind of an example of how this might work is I play a goblin wizard in my weekly Pathfinder game, and the GM might be like, hey, you gotta run across this log over a river with a bunch of snapping crocodiles, and then you gotta go up the hill and you gotta kick the thing into the target to solve the puzzle. And what the GM might tell you is you may have to roll a dice. So you may have to roll something like a d20 or do some other mechanic in the game to find out if you actually achieve those goals. So they'll be like, hey, you might have to do an athletics check to see if you make it across the log or if you fall in a river of giant crocodiles. And then you may have to do another check to see if you kick the target or if you miss it. And if you do kick it, you have to do another check to find out, does it land into the statue to solve the puzzle, or does it land onto a trap and causes a huge explosion? So that's kind of an idea of how a situation would work in a TTRPG. All right, and today we're going to talk about community publishing. There's a lot of different types of publishing. So you can go to Amazon.com and self-publish. You can go through... but there's other publishing methods. Today we're going to talk about community publishing, which is Drive-Thru RPG, Pathfinder Infinite, and the DM's Guild. Some people aren't a huge fan of they do take a big royalty cut, so DM's Guild and Pathfinder Infinite take a 50% cut, but there's benefits that come with that. You get to write using their IPs, so you can use the iconic Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition content, or Pathfinder or Starfinder content. They also handle print on demand, so you don't end up with a huge garage full of books. They handle all that for you, which is really convenient. They also do royalty splits and handle all the royalties, so I don't have to send out checks. Some of my projects are 50, 60, 70 people to make the books that you see on that table. It's really convenient. Their website handles it, so I don't have to send out tons of checks every month. So there's some perks that kind of come along with the cuts. Drive-Thru RPG only takes 30%. Unless you write for them exclusively, and they'll take 25% cut, and you get the rest of the royalties to split amongst your team. Oh man, these are out of order for some reason. Yeah, that's my background page. Am I going the wrong way? There we go. So, if you want to know how to get started writing TTRPGs, a good place to start is finding creative communities. So if someone's making Starfinder content, there's probably a Starfinder group making content for Starfinder Infinite. Me personally, because of the D&D crisis, the OGL thing that happened recently, I've been writing content for D&D for about 4.5 years. And I was like, well, where am I gonna go now? So I found Pathfinder Infinite because I really like Pathfinder. But I didn't know where to get started, so I got on what used to be Twitter and was like, hey guys, where are the communities at? And luckily people were really nice and were like, hey, go to Infinite Possibilities. Later I found about Team Plus. These are Discords where community creators hang out and make content. You can, if you're looking for like an editor or writer or artist, there's people that will like do work freelance style or for a royalty cut. So finding communities is a really helpful step. Next thing is check out license agreements for all these websites. So For example, some of them, like Pathfinder Infinite, will say, hey, you can write Pathfinder and Starfinder, both first and second edition, which is nice. But DM's Guild only lets you write D&D 5th edition content. And they have a specific list of what settings you can write for. So they got Forgotten Realms, Ravnica, Theros, and a couple others that are on the list. But they have certain ones that you can't write for. What's great is if you don't know for sure and you're like, I want to write something from Dungeon Magazine 25, they have a button at the bottom of their website where you can contact their staff, and their staff is super helpful and very nice. And it's the same with all the other websites. Next thing is find templates and style guides if available. Especially if you, one of the benefits of writing for these websites is people in the industry will see your work, and you can get offered freelance gigs. And one thing that I wish I'd been told is to know the style guide for working with wizards, because I kind of leaned heavily on my editors. The DM's Guild has one for free, which is really nice, and it comes with some extra content on how to write content, such as Pathfinder Infinite currently does not have one. I emailed them and was like, hey, you guys plan on making one? And they're like, we're really busy. So maybe if enough of us email them, they'll put up a style guide on their website. All right, so, and just some general tips if you want to create TTRPGs. The first one is don't be afraid to kind of design for more than one platform. When you're starting out, you might stick to just Pathfinder Infinite, for example, but don't be afraid to try out different publishing methods or different websites, because when the D&D crisis happened, I was like, oh man, I got another trilogy slated to launch on the DM's Guild. I've already started the writing phase, and now it's not safe to write for wizards. Where do I go? So if I had created maybe for different websites, maybe it would have been a little bit quicker to get production started back up on that. Next thing, this actually comes from Workshop, from Chuck, take a notebook with you everywhere. This is one of my writing books. You never know when you're in a long line at the DMV. I don't know if you guys have been to the San Antonio, Texas DMV, but it's like a convention center and you're gonna be there all day. So it's a great time to bring your book with you. Chuck always tells us like, hey, you can always type it up in your word processor later. Next thing is we need diverse voices. So if you're a woman, if you're a person of color, if you're a veteran, if you're disabled, if you're LGBTQIA community, we need you creating content because your creativity, your voice is going to show through. Don't be afraid to apply for jobs with the industry. Don't be afraid to lead projects because guess what? If you are hired as a supervisor somewhere or you're leading a project, you're going to be able to create a diverse team of creators. If you are a creator and you're like, man, I'm doing calls for creators, but no one's applying that's diverse. The best advice I can give you is find out the different women in gaming, TTRPG groups, LGBTQIA in gaming groups. They're all over Facebook, they're all over Discord. If you can't find one, ask a friend. Those are really great places to publish your industry grade jobs, your freelancing opportunities, or your small project opportunities. So the next thing is go to conventions. Here in the area we have CantCon, Midwest Game Fest, and some other really great conventions. It's a great way to demo your content. You can also donate books for their raffles. You can join panels. If you have a cool idea for a panel, you can always submit it or just watch other panels so that you can meet other game designers. Also, another tip is don't let people discourage you. We've all run into those people who are like, you can't do that, or that's not a career, blah, blah. I know in high school, I sit at the art table being like, I'm gonna be a game designer. And everyone's like, yeah, sure. And I hit my 5 years designing games this August. So yeah, don't listen to those folks. Next piece of advice is keep your social media professional. So whether you're looking for a day job, you want to do a freelance gig for Paizo, or if you're just applying for one of my small projects, one of the things that we do is we look at social media pages just to make sure, you're going to be nice and you fit in well with our group. Because I'll pick someone who's a better fit and who's nice to people online than someone who's super talented. So keep it profesh. Social media is also a really great way and a free way to promote your content online. Just make sure your page isn't all like spam ads of everything I've done. Like, make sure to share other people's content. So find dice makers, find DM screen creators, or other writers that you really like their content and share that. That will help you have a more interesting internet presence. Okay, next one comes from workshops. This is one of Chuck Palahniuk's quotes, actually. He tells us all the time, don't write to be liked. So just because everyone is writing for Planescape on the DMs Guild doesn't mean you have to. Like, figure out what you love, what are you passionate about, because that's going to show through in your work. If you jump on the gravy train of like everyone creating the next release content, like, your stuff's just going to kind of disappear in there. So make sure you're writing what you're passionate about. Don't go into it wanting to make money, because this is a side gig. Like, you do not make a ton of money doing community publishing. Like, I have a normal day job. But some people get lucky and it goes well. But just make sure you're writing for the right reasons. The best advice I can give you is join workshops. So it could be RPG workshop or writer's workshop or both. Just kind of figure out what you want to work on. These are really great experiences because you have someone looking at your work, you're looking at each other's work, you're trying new tools that maybe you haven't done before. I found writer's workshop like super helpful for my game design, especially for adventure writing. If you can't find a good group when it comes to workshop, just keep trying new ones. When I was living in San Antonio, I joined a writer's guild there, and everyone was retired and writing memoirs, and if you're not writing a memoir, you're not in the cool club. I was all like, hey, I got ideas and TTRPGs, and they're like, yeah, no. So I kept looking for groups until I found Plot Spoiler, and that's a good fit for me, but you gotta find something that's a good fit for you. Also, kind of treat game design like you can always learn more. Even if you have professors or high school teachers waving your papers around like, ooh, we can talk about this in conference, this is good. Like, that won't matter in industry. So make sure you're studying TTRPGs, even if you have a degree in it. Always look to improve your game. There's always something new that you can learn, and there's a lot of great free resources out there too. So if you get on YouTube, and ad blocker is free, you can look at Dr. Philly's lectures on game design. For all you Wheel of Time fans, Brendan Sanderson has a really great lecture series on writing, just storytelling that's really great to listen to. I really enjoy his content. The other one is Kobold Press Books. They're really affordable as PDFs on DriveThruRPG. But they also have soft covers on their website. But they have everything from like several volumes of books on game design, ones on tabletop board game design. There's guides on how to do world building, how to do monsters. So if there's something you need to work on, they probably have a guide that you can pick up for that. I think we've at the end of the road. So these are my socials. So I am on what used to be Twitter at D&D Elise. I'm now on Mastodon. I just got my Blue Sky invite, so I'm at RPG Elise on Blue Sky. If you ever have questions about game design, I try to bring on new creators onto every one of my projects, so I'm used to like mentoring new people. So if you ever have questions, the DMs are open. If you enjoyed the art of this presentation, all of the artists are listed here. This is all art from my latest release, Through the Veil, Monsters of the Feywild. If you ever want to look at the books, they're up here at my table. So next I'm going to do questions. Everyone who asks a question will get a dice goodie bag. It has dice, stickers, my business card, and my lovely assistant Lucius, my kid, is going to hand those out for us. Yay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
First, everyone give a round of applause. Thank you so much.